All right, welcome to the Healthy Hangout, everybody. We still have more people filing in. And somebody remind me at the end if I forget that we are giving out an Amazon gift card tonight, only if you're on live, because it's fun. I like to give away money. It like brings me joy and happiness to give away money. And so I need some more joy and happiness in my life.
She never asks me if it's okay.
That's because you're not in charge.
I'm totally cool with giving out money.
Oh, okay. So welcome on. I'm Amber Smithson. This is my husband Jared, and we have been certified health coaches for 11 years, since 2009. We love this, and it's kind of funny because I remember back when we first signed up as coaches, and the what do they call it? The economy.
Recession.
The economy was in recession when we signed up as coaches 11 years ago, and now all the talk of the financial repercussions of pandemic, it's kind of bringing me back to when we first started coaching, and we were struggling financially, we're struggling in our healthy bodies, our mindsets were a complete wreck, I guess. I could say that.
Everything was a complete wreck.
Everything was a complete wreck. And so I kind of feel like the last 11 years have really set us up well to be able to, handle what's coming our way right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting. But we want to just kind of start off with a little thought today. And one thing that I wanted to talk about was something that we learned today on a webinar that we hopped on with Jim Dethmer and Diana Chapman. And they're the authors of 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. And
the founders of the Conscious Leadership Group. If you're not familiar with them, go to conscious.is is their website, and just absolutely phenomenal people. We've worked with them for several years, but had the opportunity. Amber and I had the opportunity to spend 3 days with Jim back in October of last year, and he's not just someone who gets up and preaches about conscious leadership. He is a practitioner. Like, he's always talking about how he's continuing to practice, and every opportunity in life, the content of life, circumstances, situations, everything like that, are just continual opportunities to practice at these skills. Nobody's perfect at them. We're never going to be perfect. You might have something come up tomorrow that just triggers something. It's not all that different from what's going on today, but it might trigger you differently from something you're just from an emotional state that you are in at the time. It might trigger something from past memory or something like that was just like, oh, this means something bad, right? Or it means something good.
Right.
And we give meaning to everything.
Yeah, and one of the things that really struck me the most from the webinar earlier was the idea of sorting files in your head. So one of your brain's responsibilities is to sort and to categorize. And this helps us on an everyday basis. It's like you're walking down the street and you're like, okay, this street's name is that, and that woman has a baby and that guy is holding a gun. I should probably stay away from that guy. You know what I mean? Like, your brain's just sorting, and it really helps us a lot in our day-to-day diet. Keeps us safe, keeps us alert. And one of the things on the webinar they said is to sort what is in your control versus what is not in your control with any given situation. And they said specifically be thinking of maybe something that's causing upset in your life right now, or something that's causing you anxiety or stress.
So why are we upset about certain things? Why do things Why do things kind of throw us off or make us angry or anything like that?
Are you wanting participation?
Yeah, throw it in the chat. Someone take yourself off mute.
Well, I think what you, well, it's just the meaning we've put to that, whatever just happened. And what is so interesting about watching people during a pandemic means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and they feel very strongly about what they feel about it. And it has caused different reactions in people, and because of the meaning we've put on our circumstance.
Perfect. So the beliefs that we have are the cause of the upset, not the content.
Yeah, I think that really goes along with something else that we have taught over the years is fact versus story. So, there are facts that happen within whatever situation that it is that is causing your anxiety or stress or upset or whatever. And if we can identify the facts, facts never cause upset. It's our story surrounding the facts. So, for example, maybe you are upset because your grandpa thinks that it's fine to go to the store and to touch all the things and visit everybody and whatever. I don't know if this is your grandpa. My grandparents lived like
it's how both of our parents are. It's like, whoa, like maybe you don't have the disease, but there's a lot of other people out there who are really particular about this and you're infringing upon them.
So anyway, maybe you have a grandpa who wants to go to the store. So fact, grandpa drives to store. So that's the fact, right? Story, grandpa is going to get all these germs, he's going to get this disease, and he's high risk, and he's going to die, and whatever. We have this whole story around it. Whether your story is true or false, it doesn't actually, doesn't play into this. It's what you want to do is separate the fact versus the story you're creating, and to realize that the opposite of your story may be as true or truer. So, if you look at all the numbers or at what percentage, it's like 5% of people who get tested actually have the virus or, whatever. So it's possible that grandpa will go to the store and not get the virus and die, right?
Well,
like both are possibilities.
And Jim Dethmer talked about this today. He's like, so you've crafted this whole story, all these details that Amber just talked about, but that isn't even what causes the problems. The problem is that we think that we've told ourselves that that shouldn't be. That's not how the world should be.
Right.
So anything that doesn't fall within the way that we believe the world should be, now, if it's anything that doesn't agree with us, so in today's world, we're like, well, that many people shouldn't, right? We have this belief that this many people shouldn't die. The problem isn't with the disease. The problem is with our acceptance or skills and ability to deal with death.
Yeah, no, that's true. And it's not to say that, we can't do our part and wash our hands and do the things and stay home.
I'm doing all those things.
Right.
Lots of hand washing, lots of lotion.
Right. But the stress and anxiety and upset comes from that belief that the world should not be a certain way. And it's showing up that way. And so it's putting us sideways. So I don't know. That's some of our thoughts we wanted to start off with, but we want to open it up to you guys to come off mute. If you have a thought you'd like to share or a question or something that you're dealing with, we want it to be a good community time right now for you. So the mute button, if you're on your computer, if you mouse, it's in the bottom left, or on your phone, you got to touch your screen and click the little slash through your microphone.
I tried to. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yep.
now I can. Yep, go ahead.
So I can kind of relate to separating files because I had this conversation just a couple weeks ago with my dad because I was waitressing full time and my restaurant closed. And so I'm like, Dad, I don't have a job, blah, blah, blah. And this pandemic and my health. And he just stopped me right there. And he said, okay, you're tangling everything up. Let's address finances is one issue, money's one issue, and health is another issue. And so it kind of helped me because it let me kind of like just separate that these are two separate things. And I had them all these emotions from both problems coming and just kind of hitting me. And so when he said to me, he said, think about the two things and then which one do we need to put ahead of the other? And so I was like, well, of course our health. And he said, so you're at home, you have everything you need, you're healthy, you've got food for your kids, y'all are fine, you have a roof over your head, and so you're fine. And I mean, my husband is still working, he's considered an essential employee. So he said, just breathe and we'll just handle, just think of your health, and that is the top priority, and separate the two issues and just put them in priority, and just handle what you can. So I like that where you said file things out, because that's exactly the kind of the conversation my dad had with me earlier this week.
I love that.
Okay, so are you willing to play along with us for a minute?
What's your name? It says iPhone as your name.
Oh, Amy Miller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Amy. So first things first. I like that, what your dad said to you.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you consider the first thing?
So health is definitely number one priority in my mind. I mean, I'm not saying that's right, but for me, that's what's most important.
Okay, do you think that there's anything that could be even put before health? Like you only had health and finances there, but outside of those two other things.
Well, no, I don't know. Like that's all that's really on my.
So I'm baiting you here.
I don't know either what he's looking for.
So this is the typical thing. I love that your dad said, hey, you know what? Let's not take the shotgun approach. Mm-hmm. Let's pull out a rifle and let's aim at one.
Right.
Okay? But even before that, what was the first, when you lost your job, what was the first feeling that you had?
Just nervous, kind of like, because you don't know when you don't know, it's like the unknown is coming, then you panic. And so your reaction is like, nobody likes change and nobody likes, we're creatures of habit. And so we predict what's going to happen and we expect that what we think is going to happen is going to happen. And when things kind of get out of whack and things don't go according to plan, then we're just kind of, what do we do,
Right. So human beings, certainty is certainly a human need, mm-hmm. But so is uncertainty.
Right.
Right? Called novelty, the unknown. Human beings love to be curious and learn new things, but we only like to do it when it's on our terms, right? So the first feeling you said was nervous. Nervous is actually a subset of scared or fear, right? So the first feeling that you have is fear or nervousness or whatever. And so I would even say before you pinpoint, okay, health or finances, it's what do I do to deal with this emotion? Because when we sit and if we don't deal with that emotion is going to continue to bubble up, because Jim Dethmer and Diane Chapman, they always talk about stay out of here and stay here. Stay in your heart, stay in your body. When we get into our head, we mix things up and we recycle things. So you might say, okay, I'm going to focus on my health first, but tomorrow something might come up that regenerates that feeling of fear and nervousness. Does this make sense?
So maybe you could help Amy to process that emotion.
Okay. So were you
Would that
on?
be helpful, Amy?
Yeah.
Were you on our healthy hangout last week at this time?
I might have been. I listened to one of them, but I don't know how many of them y'all do a week or which one. So.
Okay. Amber and I host this one each week.
Okay.
So last week we talked about 5 steps of processing emotion.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you remember number 1?
Just identify it and
Yeah. So number 1 is name it. You said nervous. Identify where it's at in your body. When you first found out that your job wasn't going to exist anymore, where did that nervousness show itself in your body?
probably like just, I don't know where you would pinpoint panic, or like just here in your chest, I guess.
Okay, good. Perfect. Okay, so then you describe it. In an ing, typically word, you're going to say like, oh, it's constricting, or it's pinching.
Well, and Amy, I have a quick question. Are you still feeling like some of that fear and anxiety about losing your job?
No, because I guess I know that I worked, and I kind of worked just for my own choice, like I wanted to, and yes, it made things. We had more wants, but I know like we're gonna be okay. Like we're not going to go without food. Thank God that I mean I've always lived like a Dave Ramsey type person. Like our house is paid off. We don't have a mortgage. We do have to pay basic, taxes and electric and water and cell phone bills. So we have bills, but it's my husband can handle the bills that we have. So I don't have a feeling of we're going to be out on the streets or under a bridge. So that's not there. It's just that what I'm used to and what I'm comfortable with is I've always been independent and made my own money and bought what I wanted to buy when I want to buy it. And my money was just kind of freedom money for once. And so, I mean, but in return, I'm getting to be with my kids more, and I'm getting to be home. And so there's reward and just slowing down and just building a stronger bond with my children. So it just makes you like, I mean, and for me, how it's impacted me personally, it's been a positive. Now I know that's not a positive for the whole world. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but in my personal life, it's opened my eyes to, maybe I should be at home, and maybe I shouldn't think about things that I want as more important than being in my home. And so it's going to be a real question as to whether I want to even go back, because I know that we're financially okay. Will we have everything that we're used to having? No, but maybe I can become a minimalist and
Maybe you could do something from home, right, Amy? Stay home with those kiddos.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. So, I think that it's huge that you shifted out of this is happening to me, and you shifted to how could this be for me?
Right.
Like it could be for me because I could spend more time with my kids, or I could have that quality family time, or I could, learn how to be a minimalist, or I don't know, whatever, right? You saw how could this experience actually be for me, for my learning, and you got curious, and that's huge.
Yeah, that curiosity is huge, because most people, they say that necessity is the mother of all invention, right? So I'm excited for the world right now, how much invention is going to come in the years to come because of this. Because this has forced people to change their way of life for a short period of time, and it forces people to think about life differently. So, hey, if I want this in my life, how do I create that now without the same old box that we've had for years?
I love that. Who got some real like aha moments out of Amy sharing? Yeah, huge. Thanks, Amy. Who else? Who else has some emotions or some thoughts or feelings on this subject that they'd like to share?
I will share.
Go ahead, Kat.
Hey, so it's really interesting because I've been feeling so much peace and so much creativity and so much like, how is this for me? But then people around me, it's like I'm not giving them permission to have their own emotions. And so for me, it's been a really powerful shift to work on just accepting, like, if my kids are bored, that's an okay emotion. If my kids are stressed, that's an okay emotion. If they're excited, if they're spazzy, if they're, I mean, whatever. We have all the ranges, and we've actually started about every other night. We have 4 kids from 7 to 17, and they're boys. And in our family, our boys talk about their feelings a lot. And that's how we've raised them. And it's been really cool having this kind of perspective with our kids as we've been raising them. But every night we're sitting down and just kind of decompressing, and what emotions did people feel today? And where did you feel it? And did you work through it? Did you allow it? Or did you fight it? And we're just having these really open, cool discussions with our kids. And it gives everybody permission to be in their own place, and that we can all feel certain things and there's no judgment. And it's really cool. And our kids we're watching them move from this space of this really sucks. And we have very social kids that are like, what the heck? And our 14-year-old is on FaceTime like all day long with his friends doing their homework together. And that's how they've adjusted. But they're starting to kind of, I see them, like my oldest is playing his guitar more, and he's working with music, his electronic music too. I'm seeing my 14-year-old wants me to go out and play volleyball with him more. And our younger ones my littlest is riding his bike more, and our 11-year-old is making movies, and they're just finding ways to make the most of the situation. And they're still feeling their feelings, and it's okay to feel our feelings. And we all give each other permission, and nobody's like, that's stupid. Why would you feel that way? It's just that we are all giving. And that's what I keep noticing that I'm doing. If someone's upset, then I'm like, why are you upset about this? Just get creative. Just stop being, like I have to make them be a certain way. And I'm doing exactly the opposite of what we're teaching our kids. So it's really been powerful for us to just kind of like take the 5-step process of processing emotions and going through it with our kids, and asking your kids if it had a sound, what would it make? And if it was a shape, what would it look like? And if it was a texture, what would it feel like? And kids are really imaginative and fun with emotions, and it's been really good for our family. So I'm working on it. So anyway.
So good. I found myself also judging other people's emotions. Like I have a book club, and they had decided on a book, and then they decided to change it because they thought that it was too controversial for like this time of stress. And I was like, what the heck? I'm already halfway done with the book. You're going to change the book? Like, you guys are so soft. And I don't know, like I started going off on my book club. And it was like, I felt like the world should be a certain way, and we shouldn't change the book because of the pandemic. And, and when it's like, okay, the person decided that they wanted to change the book, and that's okay.
Contagion.
No, it was but it is interesting to notice that, right? Where we're judging how someone else is acting and how they should or should not act.
Right. And I'm all like, I feel so good, and I'm all creative, and I'm so peaceful, but you're being annoying. And really, I'm annoying myself with other people.
I think it's a really that idea, the idea of allowing other people to have their emotions. There's a social theory called this theory of projection, which most people understand projecting. We project onto other people what we believe they feel and what we believe they believe, right? So, and when I was in at college, and I was a social science major, and one of the first things that I learned about in social theory was people's relationship to their God, right? So a person who is merciful, their God is also merciful. If a person hates other people and they're like, oh, I demand justice, their God is like this God of wrath, right? And they're going to come down and burn all the wicked people and stuff. And so I think it's important for us to understand that most of what we believe about this world is not truth. It's not fact. It's just made up stories.
Yeah.
And for instance, our son has been serving a church service mission for the last 5.5 months in Argentina. And our church is bringing home 27,000 missionaries from around the world. And we're part of a Facebook group, and all the moms especially, but some dads too, they're freaking out. Why isn't my kid home yesterday and stuff? Oh, no. Well, guess what? There's like one case of this virus down there because it's summertime, and only 6% of the worldwide cases come from climates that are warm right now, right? So the other day in this, I said, hey, and they were projecting I'm sure our kids are so scared right now, and all
kids are freaking out.
They're freaking out, and they're so nervous. So I felt it necessary to be a voice of reason. And I said, I want you guys to know that our kids, our sons and daughters, they're okay.
Well, they don't watch the news.
And yeah, they're okay. And they're sitting in quarantine, and they're doing what they've been asked to do, and they're fantastic. I served a church service mission 28 years ago in Los Angeles. And I said this in my post. I said, I was literally in riots where the city was being burned to the ground around us. I endured a 7.0 earthquake, fires and floods in the city while I was there. And I'm like, our kids are just quarantined. Like they're in a peaceful place, and
they had to buy some extra groceries.
They had to find some people that would give them some teepee and stuff like that, but they're good, they're okay. And several people are like, thank you so much. They were projecting ideas and beliefs that their kids were as terrified as they were. So I think it's so important that we allow other people to feel what they're feeling, and that we don't project our fears or our what we believe onto other people, so that they can have their own experience in life. But just for, rather than quarantining all of us for 30 days, I think they should quarantine the media for 30 days.
On that note,
that's just my belief.
Let's do a drawing because Amber needs some sunshine in her life. Okay, so I did the random number generator, and I randomly generated out of the 29 people on the Zoom number 13. And on my list, number 13 is Jordan and Andrea Weiler. You had won $25 gift card to Amazon, yo.
I believe that Amazon is still considered essential.
It is in my book. So way to go, guys. Way to be on the Healthy Hangout. You are the winner. Love it. You can't say you never win anything. All right, guys. Thanks for being on. We appreciate you. Stay healthy. Check in with your coach this week, and we love you. See ya.